Hey, Arlo and Frank. It's February 18th in Jacksonville Beach, Florida. Welcome to another story time with Grandpop. The reason I told you the date is because in 3 days on February 21st, Arlo, you're going to be here and I'm going to read you a story in person, which I don't get to do that often. Today we're reading once again from Enchanted Fairy Tales. This is the treasury of classic fairy tales. And today we're going to do The Ugly Duckling. Proud Mother Duck watched her beautiful babies hatch. One by one, they cracked through their eggshells. Peep, peep, they cried. What a large world is this? So it seemed to them after such a long time in the eggshell. Only one egg remained, the largest. Mother Duck wondered if it would ever hatch. And here's Mother Duck and the peeps and the egg. At last the egg cracked. Out toddled the largest, ugliest duckling Mother Duck had ever seen. She nudged him into the water with the rest and loved him just the same. Perhaps he's really a turkey, said an elderly duck. Looks like a turkey to me, shouted a drake. The poor ugly duckling, embarrassed and ashamed, ducked his head under the water as Mother Duck hurried the flock along. And here's the old duck and the mother duck and the drake, the little kind of orange looking ducks, and then the ugly duckling. The funny thing about the ugly duckling is white, just like Mama Duck. Mama Duck. The next day, a proud Mother Duck showed her fledglings around the barnyard. What lovely ducklings, said the fanciest duck in the yard. Squawk! Except for that ugly duckling. Get him out of my sight. The ugly duckling hung his head low. What should it matter what I look like, he asked his mother as she wrapped her wings around him in comfort. And here is the fancy duck squawking at the little duck, and she's feeling all depressed. After that, the duckling's brothers and sisters turned against him. Why can't you look like the rest of us, complained one sister. I wish the cat would take you, quacked his brother. So that's pretty messed up. You want the cat to eat your brother. Although my brother probably wished a few times the cat would have eaten me. Even Mother Duck began to feel ashamed that her ugly duckling did not look like the others. Why can't you accept me as I am, replied the ugly duckling. And here he is, being all ugly duck. And being depressed, telling his siblings. You should be ashamed of yourself, siblings. Life grew harder for the ugly duckling. The others pecked and teased him constantly until one day, feeling very much alone, he scrambled over the barnyard fence and landed in a flock of songbirds. Help, cried the songbirds. A monster is after us. So they don't think he's a duckling, they think he's a monster. I may not look like you, said the ugly duckling, but I am no monster. I'm just different. But his explanation did not stop the songbirds from running away, and the ugly duckling was left alone again. And here they are, flying away, but hey, we'll go with running because that's what the text says. As time passed, leaves changed to yellow and the grass to brown. One day, while it says wandering through a grassy field, but I think it means wandering through a grassy field, the duckling came upon a flock of wild geese. He wondered if these new creatures would accept him as he was. But before the duckling could try to make friends, shots sounded from hunters' rifles and scattered the flock. The ugly duckling hid alone in the tall weeds until it was safe for him to move on. So a hunter came and was goose hunting, I guess. Is that what they were? Yeah, geese. The ugly duckling finally settled on a small, secluded pond. As the wind grew colder, the water turned to ice, and he had to keep swimming so he would not freeze. Every night his circle of water grew smaller and smaller. It was a long, cold winter, and the ugly duckling felt more alone than ever. So here he is swimming around in his little tiny circle, trying to keep the ice from freezing right there. Could have just got up and flew away, but he's not a human. One night as the ugly duckling waddled through the melting pond, he heard a cry. From the bushes in a nearby field rose a flight of the most beautiful birds he had ever seen. They were dazzling white, with magnificent wings. Their long necks bent gracefully as they flew away. The duckling could not imagine what creatures they might be. He knew these exquisite beings would only run from him too. Watching them took his breath away. And there he is with his breath being taken away, going like, ah. As spring arrived, the duckling noticed that the flowers were in bloom, and the grass and leaves turned green again. He had also been growing and changing. The ugly duckling heard the robins singing and felt the warm sunshine on his body. He stretched his wings to feel the radiant day, and to his surprise, was lifted into the air. So he was flying, floating on a high wind. He gracefully landed in a serene lake beside a beautiful orchard. Nearby swam 3 beautiful long-necked birds. He recognized them as the elegant creatures he had seen before. And so did you notice something about him and those birds? What did you notice? The ugly duckling felt sure these beautiful birds would chase him away, but they simply bowed their long necks in a friendly greeting. I shall bow too, he thought, and when he did, he saw with amazement that he looked just like the other birds. A new swan squealed a little girl on a nearby bank, more beautiful than the rest. So he's a swan. So did you notice that he looked like the other birds? The ugly duckling had transformed into a magnificent swan, and he proudly joined the flock, but he never allowed the beautiful birds to call those who were different from them ugly. And here is the bird with his new buddies and the girl who thinks he's more beautiful than all of them. The end. Peace out, guys.